Hello, good morning, and a very good day to all of you here. என்னோட பேரு சுப்ரியா and I am the voice behind the Curious Conversations podcast. இங்க இத்தனை நாளா என்னோட பாட்காஸ்ட் எபிசோட்ஸ் எல்லாம் கேட்டுட்டு இருந்ததுக்கு ரொம்ப நன்றி. ஸோ நிறைய விஷயங்கள் நம்ம பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம் அண்ட் நிறைய பேரை நம்ம சந்திச்சுட்டு இருக்கோம். இந்த பாட்காஸ்டோட கான்வர்சேஷன்ஸ் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எதுவுமே ஸ்கிரிப்டட் கிடையாது. ஸோ அதனால நான் எல்லாரோடையும் பேசும்போது what I tend to do with the speakers who talk with me, we have the conversation just like that. So the theme behind the podcast is ரெண்டு பேர் மீட் பண்ணி ஏன் நம்ம அந்த கான்வர்சேஷன்ங்கிற ஒரு விஷயத்தை திரும்பி கொண்டு வரக்கூடாதுன்றதுக்காக தான் இந்த கியூரியஸ் கான்வர்சேஷன் பாட்காஸ்ட். ஸோ as a very first initiative of ஸ்பாட்டிஃபைல மட்டும் பேசாம யூடியூப்லேயும் இப்போ என்னோட எபிசோட்ஸ் ஷேர் ஆக போகுது. And all the YouTube audiences here, happy to meet you and thank you for listening to me and thank you for giving me a space. I did my bachelor's in architecture in 2019 at SRM University, and right now as a career shift I work as a graphic designer and content writer at IIT Madras. So I have my own writing label, which is the Curious Conversationalist, which is my personal brand as well. And அதன் மூலமா நான் வந்து ரெகுலராக கண்டென்ட் நான் எழுதுவேன் நான் லிங்க்டின்ல. ஸோ என்னோட எய்ம் என்னன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, நாட் ஜஸ்ட் மீ, லாட் ஆஃப் கண்டென்ட் ரைட்டர்ஸ் லைக் மீ ஹூ வேர் ப்ரீவியஸ்லி ஆர்கிடெக்ட்ஸ், we write a lot about educating the current and the upcoming generations on how the field is like and how to get themselves ready for the field. பாஸ் பண்ணுறோம். ஸோ இந்த பாட்காஸ்டும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இது ஒரு மீன்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஜென்ரேட்டிங் கான்வர்சேஷன்ஸ். அண்ட் by conversations it's not just about talking about architecture only. நாங்கள் நிறைய விஷயங்கள் பற்றியும் பேசுகிறோம். ஸோ என்னோட லேபிள் கியூரியஸ் கான்வர்சேஷனலிஸ்ட்ங்கிறதுனால இந்த பாட்காஸ்ட் பேர் த கியூரியஸ் கான்வர்சேஷன்ஸ்னு பேர் வச்சிருக்கேன். ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் அ ஷார்ட் இன்ட்ரோ அபவுட் மீ and to all of my Spotify audience who are also seeing me here, you know what I've been doing all this while. So thank you for sticking around with me. And today's episode is going to be very different. It's going to be a conversation with a fellow architect who's doing groundbreaking work in his area of expertise, which is content creation, under his own label. And இதில் ஒரு அழகான விஷயம் என்னன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, out of nowhere we collaborated on a LinkedIn post, and from there we have been sort of encouraging each other on the work we do, and we are here to talk about a lot of things in this episode on this podcast. So keep listening and stick till the end. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, a very very good day to all of you. This is Supriya aka the Curious Conversationalist, and this is the latest episode of the Curious Conversations podcast with me. And yes, this is a bilingual podcast as I first promised, and it is still a bilingual podcast, but we have our guest today who will be speaking with us in English. So adanala buckle up guys and get ready for this episode. Nariya pesa vendiyadhu irukku indha topic patti. And yes, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome architect Sagar from FYI Arc. So thank you so much, Sagar, for graciously accepting to be my guest speaker for this episode. And please do introduce yourself to our audience.
So hi guys, I'm Sagar Saoji. I'm the founder of FYI. I'm a content creator. I'm an architect, of course. There are many questions that when I'm creating content, asking me that are you an architect? So yes, guys, I'm an architect who is now into content creation since 4 years. I have a page called FYI on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. I post content related to architecture, design, decor. I travel to events. I do certain courses, and I create some stereotypical funny content as well on my Instagram. So if you're very new here, if you don't know me, if you're seeing me for the first time, you should definitely go and check out my channel called FYI. And yes, you will love my content, I hope. And if you have any suggestions, you can just send me a DM. I'm very easygoing person to talk with. So yes,
And this is where I also mention we collaborated on a post actually, if you
yes,
do
yes, yes,
remember.
yes, yes, yes.
It
Of
was
course,
on
I remember.
architecture.
Of course, I remember. And uh, basically, like any other person, I would have just copied that post and made it on of my own. But I thought that I should seek your permission to it because it was such a wonderful post, and curriculum needs its change, and it's a high time. And that's why I think creators like us are sitting together here because we
Exactly.
had some issues in our education. That
Absolutely.
time we chilled in our college, of course. We didn't pay much attention to all these things. Our teachers were shouting that, dude, you should study. But then we did it. But now we know the importance of that. And now we knew that. And through our pages, through your LinkedIn, through your Instagram, and through my pages, we want to educate people. And hence, I think this such kind of podcasts or such type of pages are helping today's student.
Thank you so much for acknowledging what I do here. Sagar really means a lot. And also, what you said is a very important point because, like, when you mentioned that while studying in college, we really didn't pay much attention because one, it has got to do with the basic factor that we were trying to really understand what this field is about. And
Yes.
we finished the 5 years course only to realize this, all the things that we did in these 5 years, we haven't barely even scratched the surface. And the second part is where we sort of along the process, as professionals, when we became professionals, we sort of learned that in order for you to really understand what the problem is, you have to really be part of the problem.
Yes.
And I guess that experience so far and that knowledge has, I guess we can say, it has, safely that it has put a knock on our head saying that, dude, you really have to stand from a distance and see what's going on here. And
I
I
think,
guess, like you said, that's why
yes.
we are here.
So I think I was in one panel a couple of days ago, and the problem I find in today's generation or in ours also, that our education is too design based, first of all,
Hmm.
and there's a huge ego boosting in our colleges that
Yes.
you are going to become an architect. How can I not design this kind of stuff? And because of this ego boosting, when we are out in the field, it gets too difficult because there is
Yes.
nobody going to talk good about your design because you're no one
Yes.
for them. Once you are an architect, like at a big level, like a 10 to 20 years practice, then okay, then that ego would be there that, okay, I'm an architect, I've designed something for real, and now they cannot question me. Or even if they question me, I am a person who can answer them with my experience and not just by my ego. So I think education system should stop boasting egos. They should start telling about like what is the field about and what are the challenges in the field are there. We design like I designed a film institute in my final year, but getting a film institute as an architect would take me 10 years to 20 years of practice.
Easily.
So of course that ego boosting should like the person who is sitting within the panel really opened my eyes and told that these things should change in architecture field.
Absolutely. And when you said, about your thesis, I just remember this actually because for my thesis, I actually did redevelopment of a local city bus stand in my native place, which is in Salem. And funny enough, that was part of the smart city project.
Oh, wow.
Now, getting a real project is a great difficulty by itself. And when it is a real project, which is a smart city project, there are so many nitty-gritties involved in it. And not to mention a lot of political insights that happen at the same time because at the time when I was visiting the Salem Corporation, the management was going through a change. So, and the thankfully the executive engineer, he was so kind enough to like sit with me, give me appointments for meetings, and help me with the project. And that's when he said one thing: the existing site area is just 2.5 acres, Supriya, and for your thesis, you are like considering the surrounding areas like it's a total site which is broken down into three individual sites,
Hmm.
and together that area is like around 9.5 acres. So he just asked me the reality check there. He was like, "Are you really going to construct this 9.5 something something acre once you are done with your thesis?" So I was like, "No, we are doing it for our marks and for the degree that comes with it."
Of course, of
Then,
course.
of course, the design was not constructed. We don't do it for to materialize in reality. We do it so that we can get the degree. So that
Yeah.
itself is the first question we are like asking here, because like I mean, we study 5 years, we study all the basics, and then you are given a monster of a project which is called thesis, and that too in a very short time, and you sort of design like 10, 15 acres. Clearly, we are biting off more than what we can chew here.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Like, we have no idea about other services. We only care about the design and a wonderful walkthrough and a beautiful sheets. And we get marks and we are out of there. And I think that's the process. That's what our senior has told us. That's what our faculty tells us. And that's what we do. It's just for marks. Of course, there is some sense of positivity and some motivation to it that we have done such huge project. So there's not all things negative, right? I'm talking about there's not all things negative. There's something positive out of it that I learned time management during my architecture a lot. I'm a person
Absolutely.
I brag about it everywhere I go. I'm a person who has not pulled an all-nighter in all my college life, and that's
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 brilliant.
something positive I found out. So it's not like I will pull an all-nighter to watch a movie, but I'll not pull an all-nighter to do studies or something. So I think 12 something I'll stop my work, I'll enjoy, I'll sleep. But today's generation or even in my college, what they used to do, they used to come to the home and they used to sleep for 2 to 3 hours. And then they used to go out to some like party or something. And then it is like 9:30, 10. And then start doing something. What I used to do, I used to come at home and I used to complete the journals at the first. I'm a
Hmm.
huge South India movie song fan. I'm a huge fan of South
Ah,
India music. And what I used to
nice.
do, I don't understand the language, but I understand the beats. I love the beats of the songs. And what used to happen
Nice.
when I used to write, I used to sync with those beats. And with those
Ah,
beats, the writing used to be very fast. And it also gave me chance to explore new songs. So journal
yes.
writing or just the donkey work, like copy from certain book or copy from certain image that your faculty provides. There is no brain to be used there. So 2 hours after coming from the college, have some breakfast or something. I just used to write with those song beats, and 2 hours the work was finished. Then I used to chill and do something, and then maybe if there's a design or if there's a construction sheet to do, then in the evening I used to do that. So because of this, time management was really nice. I could get good sleep. So there was no, I didn't complain about my sleep in my college because I used to complete my work in time. But I see here students have a lot of issue with time, and they boast about it in the college. I slept only 1 hour. I slept only 2 hours. How much you slept? So there's the competition going on, and like this person has slept only 1 hour. I'll make sure that I'll not sleep whole night, and I'll tell my classmates, dude, I didn't sleep all night. So on
Yeah.
basis of that, how smart you are or how if you're a topper or not, that is determined. So I think that is wrong. The positives again out of it is you discipline yourself a lot, and you
Yes.
understand like even if you don't work with certain other disciplines like MEP like electrical structures, but you understand how you can handle each situation in architecture because there's so much pressure, there are so many subjects and there are so many faculties. So you can put your faculties just like your contractors and you have to answer them
Yeah.
in time, or your clients and you have to answer them in time. So
Yes,
that is
absolutely.
the thing I developed in my college. That these guys are my clients and my contractors, and I have to answer them. I have to make them their mouth shut with my work, and I used to do that. So marks were not an issue. Like still third year, like I was a very average student. But then when I understood the process, how I can impress these guys, then I followed a different approach and a different process and start working towards that. So of course, architecture is right now all about marks, all about being a topper in the college or do beautiful sheets. But I think it should change.
That's very well said, Sagar, actually. And I think I can, this when I am listening to it, I'm like, oh, wait, this is where I made a mistake. I should have done this before. Now, when I ruminate about it, I realize this is where I went wrong. Like, I mean, I was not a topper or anything. My
No,
classmates would make
even
fun
I
of me.
was not. Even I was not.
My classmates would, like they would like pull my leg and say, "Oh, here comes a topper." But then, truth is, I was not really the topper here. But I had certain understandings, like you shared here. I had certain understandings of the fact that which I'd like to share here, if I may. One being the studio. I mean, the classroom is basically a markup of the studio that we are going to work in. And although it technically does not physically reflect the qualities of a professional studio, how we go about the design process and all of it is something that we get to learn in college. And second thing is, we talk about deadlines, we talk about delivery of work, and that said, we also understand like how to set realistic expectations. Like if the college says, today they give you work and you have to sit and work the whole weekend and then submit it on Monday morning 8 a.m. Well, that's not really realistic because we need that break. Even the most creative people need to sit around and do nothing in order for their brains to work actually.
Yeah.
So, and that whole weekend is where we all take a break. We sort of rejuvenate. We sort of disconnect from whatever we do, and then when we connect back to the project, we have a whole new different perspective. That is something that I learned when I was in college, and I was so happy when I saw that in practice the moment I got a job post my college. So I happened to work in a college in a firm in Adyar, which is in Chennai, and there the first rule of thumb was that you work like, unless and until you had any urgent deadlines, everybody comes to the office at 9, exits the office at 6:30. The weekend is off.
That's
On
nice.
alternating Saturdays, you have office. That is okay. That's a bargain we can take. But when you are on alternating Saturdays, you just take it slow on those alternating Saturdays. You don't have full pressure unless and until you have any urgent work coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And the team has lunch together. We sort of, if we want to go out, we all go out together. So I think these are all things, even if students do not learn in college, they are sort of learning it in work atmospheres, which is a very
Yes.
great positive thing
Yes.
here.
But there is one more thing. Like even if it is like an unrealistic deadline in your college, take it as an approach that it is something you need to do. Like I understand that breaks are needed and everything, but not everything will go your way in college. So even if it is like a weekend and you have to submit something on Monday, don't start it with like I cannot do it. Like in my college also there are unrealistic deadlines in our college. Like everyone's architecture college, there were unrealistic deadlines that submit 2 sheets by Monday and you have to do everything. So of course in my head it was an hard task. But what I used to do to train my brain that do the hardest tasks first. Spend all your time on thinking that how it is going to happen. Of course, I was not very smart at it, or I was not a topper again to do that. But just developed the process to train my mind that okay, rather than saying I cannot do it in 2 days, let's try to finish it. However bad it may be, or however good it may be, or if the creative process is not coming out of my mind, but I started to train myself. Okay, let's not say that it is not going to happen. Let's say that it is going to happen. And I could
That
like
is just,
even if I could not complete a 100% job, or even my sheets were not that beautiful, but at least I could do that 80% of task And when I went to my college and see that people have not done 60% also, because they were procrastinating, dude, today's Sunday and it's only one day, how I can do that, how I can do that, how I can do that. And they end up doing nothing. Even if my project were bad, like bad than them, but the quantity of work was more. So I understood that of course it was for the marks, but then you learn about time management, you learn about deadlines, and it is much important. Like even now, like doing practice or making content also, I have to create content every day. I've trained my mind that I have to create content every day. There are stipulated time hours that I would create content. I'll write my scripts, I'll edit my videos, and I'll then post it. And if I don't post it past along 5, like my hands shiver that what I'm doing. I have to do it because I am just crossing my time. It is not like I also take necessary breaks. It's not like I'm too much into it. I take necessary breaks. But again, coming back to the second point about your office, you really shared that your office was really good. Uh, and do that, and about the deadlines, of course, like there are some offices who ask their employees to do overtime and then they don't pay. And again, I
Yes.
was the person, because of the time management I had in my college, even if my office asked to do overtime without any pay, I was the person who went home at time. And there were faces who were looking at me, their eyes was looking at me, how this person is going on time. Because so in architecture or in architecture firms, I was working in an MNC with 200 plus employees in my city. And the notion is there how much the time you sit in the office and you're closer to your promotion. And that is the notion in
Yes,
too many architecture firms. That
absolutely.
the time you spend in the office, you're working very hard. It is not the case. You're spending your 6, 9 hours in office, you're completing work in that time, and you're going home. That makes you smarter rather than spending time at coffee hubs and then like sitting till 9 p.m., 10 p.m. and becoming in like come come in the good books of your boss that this guy is working till 9 p.m. in my office. He should get a promotion. And that's the reality. Such people get promotion to like they sit for longer period of time and they chill. So that is another thing I want to tell. I tell like the people who I talk with, respect your time first of all. Until unless you don't respect your time, nobody else will respect your time. So I even in my practice, my business, firstly I respect my time. And even if someone is not there, I would be like, the stipulated time I gave you, you are not available in this time. I'll write the email very politely. You are not available at this time. I think we can reschedule. So in this manner, they will respect your time and they will not ask to cross that boundary. Like even that in the offices, uh, the employees and the employees should try these things.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point that you've brought out here, actually. And now, I mean, since you were saying we have to respect our time, the one thing that really comes to my mind is that there's a sense of hesitancy, when I see a sense of hesitancy, even when I talk to the people in my circle who are working in offices, especially the corporate MNC wala offices, that, like, I would like to go on time, but I'm too scared to approach and tell them, what if they fire me?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I guess that is a very big fear. I think we have all crossed that fear,
Yes,
actually.
yes, yes, yes.
And I can say this safely because right now I'm working in a place where I'm respected. I'm working like as a graphic designer and content writer for IIT Madras. So my work there is respected. What I do there is respected. But at the same time, I'm also like having a connect with my past experience as an architect. By talking to people like you here, doing podcasts, writing content on LinkedIn and all of that. Because somewhere I guess the only way we can bring about a change is like to write or to give back to the community, regardless of whether it really did anything for us or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess we need to come together and put in our thoughts together and also explore like how can things be changed. Because if we don't really talk about this, I don't think anybody else is going to.
Of course, of course. And coming back to the point where you said that people are very scared, those people are scared who are not confident about their work. They know
Yes.
that their boss will like tell their mistakes in the drawing, and that's why they are scared to tell them their boss that I deserve to go on time. Just because they are scared, just because they are very average at their work. I'm very sorry if I'm using such harsh words, but just because they are a
No.
bit average in their work, and that's why they are underconfident. And so the suggestion would be just support your work, try to upskill your skills, and then gain some confidence that okay, whatever I'm doing is good. I'll try to convince my boss or try to convince my superior that this work, what I'm doing is this approach I'm doing it, and try to have a communication with them rather than just sitting and this I don't have a good boss does not make any sense. Like we talk on LinkedIn and like I've seen many posts on LinkedIn, it's always employee who is being suffered. But what about the employer? He is also paying you, he is also spending the time to train you and do those all things. So it is okay if it demands a overtime cert like in one day or two. If it is doing like every day, that is like you need to pay them. But once in a while, I think that is okay. And you should
Yeah.
also, if you are a very new learner, I think you should also spend that time with that architect to learn from his experience rather than just yelling at him that this dude makes us sit at till 9 a.m. Then ask him to pay for your dinner, be that friendly with him. So I've been with such people who have told me that okay, we ask our employees to pay, sit at till 9 p.m. and they were not shy to tell me that the truth that we ask our employees to sit till 9 p.m. in our office, but we also make sure that we buy them the dinner. We also make sure that we sit with them and solve their design issues. So then nobody will be like, I want to go home because you're doing this because of your passion. And once you start your own studio, there is no 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. You have to work endlessly to get that work.
Yes.
So there's like
Yes.
even on Sunday, we are sitting on Sunday. We are not enjoying on we are not sleeping. We are doing our work. So I don't have like I like productive Sundays, and that's why I suggested that we can do it at 10 a.m. rather than just chilling and watching TV. It was very good for me to have some productive discussions.
Absolutely. That's a very nice perspective. Considering the way we look at things, and we're always like trained to as problem solvers, we're always trained to look at the problems only. But now that since you are talking,
Like even
giving an alternative.
I was on this other side, but just my perspective changed when I started talking with the employers because of my
Yes.
Instagram, I am connected to renowned architects of India, and being all I was always on the employee side, so I didn't know that what problems an employer can face. And when I asked them those questions, they answered me in a very good way that we also face problem when someone goes like in 6 months because we have invested our time to interview that person, we have invested our time to train that person in certain software, and that person would just jump on to another job because he's getting good pay. Of course, if he's getting good pay, that is fine, but he's not learning anything from us as well. He's just doing one project with us and then he's getting like 30K and 40K for another job. He's just jumping. But he has not learned anything from us. That was just a start and he just left. So then they have to start again the process of hiring someone. So it is difficult. Both ways it is difficult, but we should talk
Yes.
both ways. Only not one side of the conversation is happening on Instagram or LinkedIn, but I think second side also should be talked with. And now we are business owners. Now we'll understand that if you're hiring someone and he leaves our office in 1 day or 2 day, how it will happen. And or if he does not come and he takes a leave and he's sick or something, and with the responsibilities we gave him, now we have to do those things. So it is much difficult and it should be both ways. Yeah, you're talking something. I'm so sorry. I just cut you in between.
No issues, no issues. I was just like listening to you with rapt attention when you said that, and I completely, wholeheartedly agree with you on that point actually, because like, when I came out of the industry, like, I last worked with a very renowned corporate architecture firm in 2022. sorry, 23. And that couple of months of experience there, it also made me understand, while being an employee, the pain of an employer also, and how hard it is to basically run a firm when it's at a corporate level. Even for a small or medium sized firm, when it is so hard to do it at the corporate level, it can be really painful.
Yes.
And that is something that I learned there. And when I came out of the industry, like when I decided, architecture is not really my thing, I like to pursue my career in graphic design and content writing, because these two are my strengths. And when I did that, as a third person, when I was seeing the field, I realized, like, okay, wait, there are two ways to it. And now that when I'm talking to you, my understanding is even more deepened.
Uh,
So, and you were mentioning about skills, right? Which brings me to the question, because we are the we are the current generation who is experiencing both transition and also, like, holding on to a lot of past practices as well at the same time. But now the question of Gen Z is something that is, very happening right now. And when we are, and that also sort of brings us to the theme of our discussion today as well. I mean,
mm,
we have a lot of things to talk, because I guess as content creators, we have a lot of things to
yes.
dissect about the industry and at all levels. But the aspect of architecture field from the eyes of Gen Z is something that the conversation is just beginning right now, I feel. And that said, how do you think Gen Z's interest in architecture, combined with the necessity to gain information at an instant through using tools like AI and all of that, how that perspective is going to reshape the field, and what are going to be the challenges in that?
So I think Gen Zs are like very smart bunch of people, and they are problem solvers. But there are certain kind of Gen Zs who are very lazy. So the only problem with Gen Z is that they get information very instantly, and then some of them are not hardworking. But I think they are smarter than us. Our generation or the previous generation we always learn about hard work. But right now people are more focusing on smart work rather than hard work. And of course, after that, AI is in the picture, and AI is helping them a lot to convert that smart work into more smarter work. So yes, there's a very thin line between it for Gen Zs to do that. I would just see that I think if they are disciplined, which we are or our generation was, they would create wonders because they are smarter bunch of people. They know how to create something, I think now in seconds or minutes using AI. I think our generation also has adapted AI a lot, and partly we are also Gen Zs now because we are using all those same technologies the Gen Zs are. We have an upper hand actually because now we know industry both ways. Rather than Gen Zs, they
Yes.
only know one way. We know the hard work and smart work both. And if we combine those powers together, we would be smarter than Gen Zs.
Absolutely, absolutely. And about that part where you mentioned we are part Gen Zs, I couldn't help but laugh, because this is something my husband constantly keeps telling me. He's born in 91 and I'm born in 96.
Okay.
We both are 90s kids, but every single day he would wake up and tell me, I am the OG 90s kid, you are a Gen Z kid.
I think content creation has
And
made us Gen Z. I will say that content creators have to be Gen Z, have to talk the trends and be in the eyes of those people. So I think yes, like one other day I was talking to my sister and she commented on my headphone, dude, you're more Gen Z on than me because you're using such bright headphones. The AirPods you're using such bright colors. Nobody using like 90s kids cannot imagine such bright colors on their face. So it's like I like to be colorful. I'm an architect. I'm a content creator. I have to be out there. And yes, I like to be like colorful and things. So yes, so like yes,
I can relate on that.
I think content creators are Gen Zs. Are Gen Zs. Yes, they have to be Gen Zs. Now I'm
Absolutely.
like 31 now, and
Oh,
I still like to do things some different way or Gen Z style.
I guess like when you said like Gen Z kids are very smart and they sort of know how to do smart work. It also makes me ask this question. They are like sort of questioning the redundancies that are there in a particular practice. Let's say architecture, since we are talking about that. There are so many complexities in this field, and too many things going on here, which is like confusing everybody here. And how can we simplify it further? How can we remove the redundancies and just like make it in such a way that the whole process, although it's a very vast field, how can we simplify it so that we can keep passing it on forward? I think that I can see, I can sense that mindset coming in right now. Don't you agree?
I think passing of like I think we are documenting everything right now. The world is becoming digital, and passing those things to Gen Z is quite a bit easy for us to transfer them, but it was very hard for us to gain it from our seniors or our like another generation to us because there were only books and books were not available to everyone. And now
Yes.
I think like me being a content creator, you being a creator, we are providing that information to them. So
Yes.
partly it is bit advantageous for them that everything is like in a single click they are getting, and hence the hard work part is bit less. For us, we had to gain on those information and do that. But I think they are a bit smarter than us financially also to take good financial decisions. At a time at this age, I think at 22 or 23 at my age, I didn't had that kind of knowledge or that kind of confidence to do all those things. To come up on Instagram or say something so confidently. But I think Gen Zs are doing that very well, and they are taking the information very well. They are transferring it and telling to their other generation, which is Gen X, I think. Yes, if I'm not wrong, and they are doing it very well.
Yes.
So I think we are a generation in the middle of things because
Yes.
we have our legs on the both ends. We are the hardworking generation as well as the smart working generation. The hardworking generation, which was I think before Gen our generation, millennials before us, they were the hard workers. They did their name and they are like some amazing architects we are seeing right now. And then there are us, who is the middle child, which you say, and then there's the younger child who is doing wonders. The only thing is the middle child is having some issues now because they are using both the technologies, the hard work and the smart work.
I completely agree with you here. I think nobody would have said it even, much better than you did, Sagar. I can tell you on that. We are caught on both ends. Like, okay, how do I convey the information to them in such a way that they don't get offended? How do I share the information in such a way that these guys don't get
Yes,
bored?
yes.
I think the real responsibility lies in our hands, actually.
We are the main
I mean,
generation, but
and
we are also suffering because we have seen both ends. We have seen that we are not getting projects, and now there are certain many platforms which are giving the projects, which like just putting by money. So there are both things we are seeing. Gen Zs have not seen that things. Gen Zs is getting everything for free. Gen Zs are using AI to create room renders, but they have not seen how much time we used to take using V-Ray with the computer we had 10 years ago. During my college in 2013, I think I had that computer with like such less RAM, and now I'm seeing such computers with heavy computing power. So I could not have
yes,
imagined those things then that this will happen. And so yes, we have seen things. We have seen both things. Gen Zs have not, and there's no blame to them. They are smarter than us. Of course, we have to acknowledge that. But we are the ones who can give them a path. It should be both ways. We should also learn from them, and we should also share our learning. And that's where I think we as content creators are being a part of the industry now, and they are learning from us. Like there are Gen Zs who ask us questions, and it's like we help them. But The only problem with them that they seek for quick answers. They don't have the
Yes,
patience.
yes.
They seek for quick
Which brings
answers.
me to also like a point of worry. Or I won't say point of worry. Worry sounds too like consuming, too like negative. But I wouldn't say it would bring me like concerning, perhaps. Which brings me to this point of concern that like one more thing that I'm seeing is a lot of Gen Z kids. I mean, I wouldn't say Gen Z kids. A lot of people ever since they started using AI, they've gone away from the aspect of sketching
Yes.
and manual representation of ideas. In so and so, in fact, actually, this was something that I discussed with one of my speakers in my previous episodes. So I was telling him about how one fine day, my nephew of 8 years old, he just casually opens his father's tab. He opens free pick AI image generator, and trust me, I had the shock of my life. What I learned in the second year of architecture, he's learning at 8 years old. He's like typing image of a mid-century home with a fluffy facade, and I'm like,
My
what?
God, I didn't knew such terms in my second year also.
Exactly. Exactly. Where is mid-century? Where is facade?
I
I'm
learned
like,
these terms while doing content creation. All about mid-century Gothic or like Scandinavian style and all these styles.
you
I
said
don't
Scandinavian
remember
as well, right?
also while learning architecture. I don't remember I have learned all these things.
Seriously. And he types all these prompts and he says the house is set in a Scandinavian hillscape. And I'm like, dude, just stop right there. You are giving me the shock of my life right now.
Yeah.
And parallelly, I was like I was telling my friend about this. He's an AI expert, actually.
Samir,
You can follow him. Yes, Samir, exactly. I was about to
when
tell
you
him.
when you said AI expert, I was like, okay, that guy.
Samir, if you're listening, hello.
He knows I talk very highly of him whenever we are talking, and we talk
Yes.
about first of all we talk about South Indian movies a lot.
Ah, yes. I was calling up Samir and I tell him, dude, my 8-year-old nephew is doing this, and he's like, Supriya, I'm warning you, take that tab away from him. That's the first thing he said. I was like, dude, he's doing something creative. What's wrong with it? He's like, he is the face of Gen Z. Point number one. Point number two, this is an age where he has to start drawing on his own. If he's doing that and then doing this, okay, no issues. But if you do not see him drawing much on like physical paper, on drawing more on the tab surfaces, you should really be concerned because the whole aspect of drawing on paper has to do with the way you think, and also like there is that feeling you get when you draw on paper. It sort of develops
Yes,
your
yes.
prefrontal
Your
cortex.
hand-eye coordination gets improved due to that.
Yes, and there is no undo button over there.
Yes, yes.
So you will want to iterate more on the mistakes you've made and think how you are going to make that mistake a part of your creative process. So when he said all that, I just sat down and I was like thinking, oh my god, I had the biggest reality check right now. And
Yes.
since then, I've been thinking about how Gen Z kids are going to use AI.
I'll give
Now
you.
that you mentioned
Yes,
this,
yes, yes. Please come.
no, you tell me,
I
please.
had a very small example or a small scene I have to share. Once, like Samir shared about hand things. So now, like, I don't sketch a lot. My sketching is very bad. I cannot draw a tree or a human also since my college. And people doubt me and call that how have you become an architect if you cannot draw something? So it's not necessary that you need to be an artist if you're an architect. It is okay. But coming back to the point that whenever I work with certain brands or I have to come up with some scripts for my reels, there was one I can just put up my Word file and I could write. But my creativity does not come out when I write something digital. I take out my diary
Yes.
and write things over there. Even if I'm getting money from someone, I would write like tack that I've got money from this person, I've got money on this date and this. That makes a sense of like achievement also. That makes a sense of like it. You remember it quite a lot because you write it. I write all my scripts. I visualize the scenarios while writing it. Like if I'm writing this guy's entering the room and I would visualize how the shot will happen. So writing helps a
Yeah.
lot because when you write, your brain works, your hand works at that same time, and then you visualize everything. Now we being architects, our visualization skills are amazing. So I write everything down, and after writing those things, and then I type those same things in like in bad handwriting, then I convert it to good handwriting while writing on Word. So that really helps. But I think society and now the community is demanding quick drawings. So,
Yeah.
and AI is in picture and quick drawings are in picture. So we cannot blame Gen Zs for it, but I think we are the generation who should teach them, at least tell them that you should start with hand and then maybe convert those ideas into your, uh, like put it into the AI software and try to simulate it. Like even for me, if I'm doing a script, I'll write it on my own, and then I'll ask ChatGPT what how better you can write it. Tell me what are the mistakes
Mm.
that can happen, or tell me the iterations of these things. Or I'll ask them that if I do the script, will audience like it? I ask this question to ChatGPT. Is it will do I get a negative comment on it? Is it going to have a positive impact on the audience when I do it? Will it engage with my audience to make them comment down on my post? So I ask these questions to the chat GPT. So that helps. So I use both. So and because I have now I have access to technology, why should I shy to use it? I should definitely use. I would be a duffer if I don't use technology then, and just draw or do hand skills. I should use both. But to do that, first I have to develop my brain. And rightly, Samir said that that is okay if it does things on tab, but his brain would not develop with time. He would just be very like centric to the tab, and he would be like, okay, I would erase something and I'll draw something new. But if we start
Yes.
drawing something and he see that, okay, I've done that mistake, I'm scratching it, the page is looking quite bad now, my sheet composition is not looking good, so he will start understanding that slowly. So it is us, like I just told you, we are the middle child and we have to handle the family. So we
Yes.
have to tell them,
Definitely.
we have to tell them that. And through our content, we are telling them. Of course, we are telling them.
Yes. Yes. And that said, actually, like as we are talking right now, another thought comes into my head. We have the question of like there are cases where people are talking about vernacular expression in design, and now that is a very big conversation because now people are waking up and seeing everywhere they go on the contemporary level. If you see, I'm talking about material expression. I'm saying you go to Bangalore, a house in Bangalore looks a little similar to the house that you build in Bombay. A house that you build in Delhi looks very similar to the house that you build in Chennai at the contemporary level. And now in India, our country is a multi-climatic, diverse cultural zone, and minimalism may not always work at all times. So that said, Gen Z kids are really, fond of this whole minimalistic approach to things in life, making do with what they have. And I'm like trying to I'm like trying to understand that there's going to be a clash between two entirely different line of thoughts here, because like one, the attraction that minimalism offers by being very clean, removing all the unnecessary details. But then at the same time, while designing in a contextual area where the context is not the same across all states, and you have got a lot of things going on in every
Yeah,
district,
yeah.
leave alone state. So, how are Gen Z is going to take up the idea of designing for multicultural diversity while this whole minimalistic approach is still in uh, vogue?
I think they are not to be blamed here because what they are seeing is like beautiful work in the magazines and which we are showing them, of course. And there are not such examples which are talked about or not such buildings which they can see and learn from. Like if I go to Kerala to Laurie Baker's workshop, That was my dream throughout my architecture school, that I have to go there, but I could not go due to times and everything. But Gen Zs, I think they don't even know about it. Like there's a lorry vehicle workshop in
Yes.
Kerala. There's something of mud architecture. There's something of brick architecture. So until unless they
Hmm.
don't know it, they will do what is shown to them on Instagram or on any other media platforms or magazines. What they are seeing, that you should design a boutique home. You should like source material from China, source furniture from China, and do some beautiful work and send it to some magazine. Maybe photograph it in a well, make it Instagrammable. Then you will get awards. So they are not doing anything wrong. They are just doing what is shown to them, and they are just doing for money. Of course, everyone is doing it for money. Nobody is doing it for social work. So if
Absolutely.
they see such examples, if certain firms who are practicing are doing such, like I also try to talk about uh, those projects whenever I get chance, and try to educate my audience that okay, 3D printing is the one new technology which can be very sustainable and which can be like. I love to talk about mud architecture. I love to talk about bricks and projects by B. Yoshi, Charles Fourier. But there, I also get very less chance to talk about it
Yes.
because, of
Yes.
course, you have to think about finances also at one point of time.
Absolutely.
So it's very hard for us also as content creators to talk about it. Uh, of course, now we are having this conversation. I think we should take a step ahead and talk about it more. I would really wish that now, being financially independent, I would visit Laurie Baker's workshop. I make sure I try to
Hmm.
go there. But yes, I think we should set some good examples to them. I talk about materials and vernacular architecture to some extent. I would not say that I talk about it every day, but I think we being influencers or content creators, we should talk about it a lot so that Gen Zs would know
Yes.
about those technologies. If they don't learn it, they will not. And secondly, another thing is talking about minimalism and everything. We are too dependent on West. We are too dependent on their designs. I was in one panel where architect Habib Khan, who was the ex-president of COA, he said one beautiful line which
Yes.
I love. West is all about taking sun inside their house, and Indian climate is all about taking out the sun inside our house. What we are just doing, copying
Hmm.
the West design and bringing sun inside our house by all those designs, all those shading techniques, and all those big glass facades. So Indian climate
Yes.
is not about bringing sun inside our house. And we are following the West to do that. We are all following West designs. We are following West materials. We are using glass facades and then putting up 2 ton to 3 ton commercial ACs inside our house. So yeah, so
Yes.
that is the thing. I think
There is no such. I mean,
yeah, I think I heard Charles Corias or someone's interview. I'm not sure who was the architect was. He said using glass is pathetic for a very high
yes.
scale building or anything. Using glass, smartly using glass and putting glass everywhere are two different things. Like using glass and then saying putting a film over it that it is a anti-glare film, it will not allow sun inside. So it is just like making a mistake and then covering it up. So yeah,
Exactly.
like it is like just like just smoking and then putting an ad on the thing that it causes cancer. So that is the thing it has. That is very simple thing for the audience to understand.
Yeah, I mean, so like, oh God, you just nailed this one very well. I tell you, because like, it's like what you said. You buy a cigarette packet knowing that's going to cause cancer, and the cigarette packet says, "Do not smoke; it causes cancer." Then why are you there in the first place?
Yeah. So that is the same thing with
Yeah, I
same thing
mean,
with glass facade, that using glass facade and then putting a film over it and saying that it protects you from UV rays and everything. So yeah,
doesn't really make sense because like you rightly said, of course our ancestors also used glass. It's a different thing because when you go say houses like the Chettinad houses, for example, they had glass, but not plain glass. They had stained glass,
yeah,
which was from Belgium. and it was not for it was completely used for aesthetic reasons and artistic expression, because when you have light that passes through the stained glass, it looks beautiful.
Yes. An example is Gothic
And those kind
architecture.
of
Yeah.
yes, the rosette windows that we all talk about, they were done for a reason, because to elevate the space, to bring a certain level of divinity in the space.
Yes.
So every style of building had its own reason for using glass. But now today, and like you rightly said, we architecture today should make people experience the elements, and this is exactly what BV Doshi also said. Architect BV Doshi also said it needs to make people fall in love with the world around them,
Yes. He
not
surely made
for
it.
them to say yes, he did it. He did that exactly, because like I mean, when we visited his office, Sangat,
Wow.
yeah, we visited his office, Sangat, and I did have an opportunity to take a photo with Doshi sir when he came to Chennai once.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So that was, I don't know where that photo is right now. I would really do anything to get my hands on that photo. I don't know
Hmm.
where it is, but the memory is still fresh in my mind. So, and I am very heavily, we are all heavily inspired by what he said, because, like I said again, what we design should basically bring people closer to nature, not bring them away from nature, actually. You know, the sky gardens and all of those things and all sounds nice, but doesn't really work in the Indian context, because we, as per historical evidence, as per everything, we center nature and we worship it, we pray to it, we revere it in all forms. So when that is there, you cannot really, like you said, you cannot really bring the Western ideology of putting people inside the house and giving all the comfort of what they would have on the outside world. It all sounds too artificial.
Yes.
And that on a follow up note on that, how I mean, we also should. I mean, I think the whole perception of architectural heritage is something that has been coming to question right now, because in so many cities, the old buildings, the old havelis, they're all being demolished down so as to bring up new construction. And Gen Z kids, I believe they would appreciate storytelling, anything that is conveyed to them in a very interesting format, or anything that is timeless. And what worries me right now is that when not much respect is given to heritage, and by the time these guys come to our age or come to 40, 50 years old, if there's not going to be much heritage buildings around in our
Right.
country, how are they really going to understand where architecture started?
I think the only thing is money here. Conservation firm does not earn a lot of money, and they struggle a lot there. And there's no one to be blamed, because if you're earning money for a certain project, certain good project, a real estate project, uh, of course, any human being will go after money and do that. There are very few people who will work for passion, and who would do something for passion for 2 to 3 years, but once their pockets are empty, they have to take harsh decisions and do certain projects for commercial things to earn money. And hence, because of that, heritage structures are not being looked after, because there are very less money offered there to restore those things and something. And it is concerning, of course. It is concerning. I have not like talked about heritage stuff, but I want to go around and so you know about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. He's from Maharashtra.
Yes,
So I
yes.
want to cover all his forts. I want to go there.
Hmm.
He has won almost 350 forts in his kingdom.
Oh
And
my
like,
God.
I am a Maharashtrian, and we are very proud of what he has done, being a Maharashtrian, for
Absolutely.
for the Marathas and everyone. But then comes the commercial part. If I talk very frankly about it, then comes the commercial part. If I go around and shoot everything for passion, I would shoot like hundreds of photos. But am I getting something out of it? So a very small example I'm sharing on a personal note here, that if after
Yes,
one
yes.
point I have to think about the finances, about running my home and everything, will will I shoot those other 200 forts then? Because now I don't have any money to shoot it. and nobody is seeing those things on YouTube. So
Yes.
it is
Yes.
very it
True.
is
True.
very okay and open, like okay to talk about in these interviews, or so, like have a post on LinkedIn that heritage, I want to save my heritage and everything. But the truth is, you will do it for passion for a certain amount of time, but after that you will think about money. So if
Yes.
conservation architects who are doing this stuff will come out and talk about it a lot, and be very frank about it, how much money they are earning. And if this
Yes.
dialogue
That is important.
happens more, and if there is money in that field, of course many people will jump on it. So
Yes. Absolutely.
that
Very well
can be
said.
a positive impact. Apart from that, I don't think I can also convert people to do conservation architect. Nobody could convert me to do it, because all I saw during my practice also such huge buildings. I saw mega structures on Nat Geo during my 11th, 12th, 10th standard. And I grew up watching all these
Exactly.
bridges, all these Burj Khalifas and Burj Al Arab and everything. I didn't learn about all these things. Once I went to Pune to learn, I knew about all the forts. I understood the architecture about it. In history of architecture also we learned about many things. I learned about Machu Picchu in where it is, I forgot now, in Argentina, I think. I don't remember, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
But yeah, I learned about Egypt and the pyramids and how those things were built. I learned about temples in India. There are certain amazing temples in South India. I think in North India they were
Yes.
destroyed by the invaders, but South Indian temples were not destroyed, and there are some amazing temples in South India where they are talking about sun, where they are talking about how, like, they can tell you about your age or something. I don't know. There are some amazing examples of it in South India. I want to cover it personally. I want to cover it.
Sure. I think we can do it together because I am someone who grew up going to temples
Yeah, yeah.
only.
I want to
So, like,
cover it and I want to talk about it. So it is, but it is not possible for me to visit every temple financially also, to be like, if
yeah,
I talk truth here.
yes,
If I talk truth here, it is not financially possible also. Even me being a content creator, working with brands, earning certain amount of money, it is not possible to go around and do that. And my idea is not taking images from somewhere and talking about that temple. I want to be present there and do that. So through
yes,
your podcast, if some sponsor
yes,
is listening and seeing that, okay, this person is very interested to do that, and if you want to sponsor me, of course, I would be very open to do that.
yes, yes. And I'll take this as an opportunity to amplify that message also.
Definitely.
Everybody, we are like the idea of understanding heritage is something collective and not two people alone can do it. So I call upon all the audiences, like if you are free, sitting at home, you are feeling bored, go to any, start exploring your area.
Yes.
See any old buildings that catch your eye, read up about
And
it, ask the
please
people what this
document
building
it
is all
for
about.
me. If I'm not able to visit there, please document it for me in a certain good format. Please send it to me. I would love to talk about it on my Reels or a YouTube video. But I would need some videos to do
Yes,
that. I don't want certain images from the internet to do that. If I'm getting good videos by
yes,
sitting at my home also without any sponsor, I would love to talk about all those temples and forts.
yes. And the next time you come to Chennai, I'll take you to this temple where Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj
Oh
prayed.
wow, wow.
So yes, it's Kalikamba temple in Paris corner, and trust me, it is a very old temple, and the street in which it is very narrow, so not many people know about the temple actually. It is such a ancient, beautiful temple actually. From the outside, you will not be able to make much of it because a lot of things have changed actually. I mean, that's the whole point. Like at one point of time, it was a very majestic standalone temple by itself, but now it's hidden within the hustle and bustle of the whole Chennai city. So yeah, the next time you come to Chennai,
Definitely,
I'll take you
definitely.
there.
Just cinema talk is due to the Gen Z thing. One thing which I told about South cinema, that what they are doing is preserving their heritage. And the cinema we see in Hindi or they are not preserving their heritage. They are influencing for West. They are talking about all the modern things. The so the Gen Zs can learn from cinema in this way. Even if you are getting influenced by West, The first half of the movie can be the West, but the second half of your design should be always about your culture. So you should bridge
Yes,
all
very
those
good.
two things. Learn about modern things, but also bring your heritage into your design. You can use wood, you can use thatch roof, you can maybe use courtyards into your design and do that. So yes, of course, I'll not say people are not doing those kind of design, but there should be more media coverage to it because media is the thing now which is doing everything for them.
Yeah. In that way, like you rightly said, that's a very fantastic way to look at it, actually. In that way, we are like fostering a certain level of mindfulness in the process, actually, because that is something that we need to learn as designers, regardless of whatever we design. We need to be mindful in whatever we are doing. So that's one thing, and that's a very lovely point that you
Thank
highlighted,
you.
Sagar. That's a very big key takeaway. So many key takeaways.
Okay.
So there is this article by Architecture Life, not a very recent one actually, like a couple of months back. If I'm not wrong, the December article by architect Srivatsan and architect Chirayu Bhatt. Both of them talk about the problems in the industry and also in the education. And that is a whole completely different topic that almost everyone's talking about. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about here. What he did mention is that the UK system of architecture education has, if I'm not wrong, it has a structure where the first 3 years are foundational years for students to learn about architecture, the nuances, and rest 2 years are about specializations.
Mhm.
Like you pluck out what you think best interests you and you specialize on
That's
it
nice. That's
study
nice.
wise. 2 years. I think in India that is something we
I
should
think
actually
these things
adopt.
should be copied from West.
Yes,
We don't
yes,
copy
yes,
good things from West. We copy all those like things from West. I think this should be copied immediately. Any college professor
yes.
who's watching this or who would watch this later should copy it immediately into their college. This is something amazing.
Absolutely. Most definitely, because like it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of
Of course, of
energy
course,
you spend realizing that this is not what I do,
of course.
and one size does not fit all.
So, like as you said before, like I just remember now, you told that you always knew that you want to go into writing and content or something. I didn't knew as a like till like for like started FYI, I didn't know that I want to become a content creator. It was just luck by chance for me. So to know that since your college, it would be amazing thing to do because I don't want to learn about all those king post trust and queen post trust in my construction sheets if I don't like it. If I like writing about things, if I love graphic design, in my fourth and fifth year, I would love to do things about UX and UI because then when I
Hmm.
graduate, I would know the direction I want to go in. If I want to do masters in that particular design again, to like upskill my skills again, or maybe work in the industry because I already have some kind of knowledge of that particular specialization part of UX and UI, and I'll go to that firm as an intern and learn more about it rather than
Absolutely.
graduating just like a normal architect. You are at zero and then learning about UX, UI, spending 2 years into that, then working at some firm and then starting your own business. It takes around 7 to 8 years.
Yes. And I guess the stereotype that architecture is always about just designing spaces and building buildings should stop actually, because we think we do not have any precedence here, but the masters did it actually. Mies van der Rohe did it, Corbusier did it, Philip Johnson did it. They weren't just designing spaces; they designed their own furniture also. They had their own paintings also. To be very honest, Zaha Hadid went multidisciplinary across all directions. She did furniture design, she did apparel design. Like there is so much to architecture actually. So what really brings about architecture, it's not just about the holistic design of a space and arranging the elements in it, it's also the design of individual elements that make up the
Right.
space also.
But I
I
think
think
you
that's
really shared a wonderful point which should be talked more. Maybe we can do a LinkedIn post together again talking about this particular system 3 plus 2. I think that is really amazing. And I was so there was some post when I graduated that there will be an exam before internship or maybe exam after internship before giving handing out a degree to you. And I was opposing that exam then, but I think that is really important for our well-being only. Because if like when we graduate and give an exam, we will understand what kind of things are out there. And 3 plus 2 is really
yes,
amazing because maybe after third year, uh, they can either do like select an elective or specialization part. And before doing a thesis, they can do a internship with certain firm based on the specialization and then work around an internship, a project given by the firm rather than the college or selecting yourself.
yes,
So the firm should give
yes,
us the project and we should do that and the faculty and the firm owner or some person from firm should evaluate that project. So that would be more realistic approach. A student will take it much seriously. The stakes would be higher because the firm owner or the firm person is also related to that, and he will not just evaluate it just for marks because the project would be a real scale project. Maybe it can turn out to a real scale project also. So then the
yes,
person who is
yes,
designing it, as a student who is designing it, will understand all the technical aspects of it, be it talking to a contractor or be it about the all the services. So I think yeah, this conversation really transpired into something new. Yeah.
absolutely. And I'm happy it did actually. I guess this is the purpose of the podcast that I do here, because like everybody talks about everything, but there are certain conversations when you read between the lines, you'll definitely say there are certain things that are very important but need to be spoken up. We need to speak up about it so that if we don't really make a big wave, at least we can make a
Yeah,
ripple.
I think everybody cannot speak because they are very afraid of it, of the repercussions they had. I talked about like doing temples, but of course I would need money to do it. Nobody would say it out so openly. Nobody will sail
Yeah,
out so openly. I say because I'm not afraid of things. I know money, you need money to do all those things. And I don't want to just shoot with the camera and just go around there. I want gears. I want professional gears to shoot. I want to tell amazing stories about those temples. So of course I want to do it professionally.
absolutely.
I would be very frank about it. So that's why people don't talk because they are very afraid to talk frankly. So yes, an education system, I think that should change. I'm talking it since long, and maybe on the parts of that we collaborated because you did an amazing post of the subject should be uh, that should happen in architecture. But more than that, now I like the 3 plus 2 system, and I would love to talk about it more now. Things and the topic heading would be things you should copy from West. That would be amazing.
Absolutely. And on that note, that brings to the end of our episode today. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you as many times as possible for agreeing to be my guest speaker today, because like I understand you've had a very busy schedule, and this is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And when you mentioned Gen Z as well, we just didn't talk about Gen Z actually. We also talked about the whole industry as such, about the educational front of it, and how instead of actually talking about Gen Z, it was more of a self-reflection on our end, and how we should really have the responsibility of
Yes, yes,
moderating it properly as well. So I guess we need to when we say pass on the knowledge, I guess we need to be filters in such a way that we do it with
yes.
moderation. We don't pass everything. We hold on to certain things that are important from the past, and we pass what the best practices that what we are doing to the future
We
consciously.
should pass certain information to them, creating questions in their head so that they can come up and ask questions to us. and then create a
Yes.
conversation out of it
Yes.
rather than just posting everything.
Yes. I guess I think that's the biggest that is the biggest moral of our episode today. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Sagar. Really, it was a brilliant, wonderful episode that we recorded today. And I do hope that
I
you had a
enjoyed.
good time
I
speaking about
enjoyed
it.
hands on. I enjoyed. It was a very productive Sunday, and I really like if my Sunday is productive rather than just sleeping and watching something. I want to work on Sundays as well because, of course, when you're doing your own business, it's like all 7 days. There's a gun on top of your head and you want to work. And I want an excuse to work on Sunday. And you gave me a very good excuse now. I'm pumped up now. I'll go and edit my YouTube video, which I have to release on 5 p.m. today. So yes, it's amazing.
Thank you so much, Sagar. And with that, that comes to the
Mm.
end of our episode. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you
you
for
so much
having me.
once again. You have a wonderful day. You have a wonderful day, and you keep doing what you do. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
what you
Thank
do
you.
here.